Shalom. All praises to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Harakah, Kadash. Double honors unto the apostles and elders of great millstone who rule well, and shalom to the hopeful elect. This is a prophecy and news video. Gonna delve into some news and filter it through the prophecies. Okay, so this is the coronavirus. This is from BBC News, sorry. Coronavirus. UK cases double as 4 more people diagnosed. Okay, so you see there's some movement because there's a doubling in the actual plague in the UK. Alright, this pestilence is beginning to basically has become a pandemic crossing various borders on the earth. Alright, so the number of people infected by the coronavirus in the UK has doubled to 8 after 4 more patients tested positive for the virus. Now what I want to do, I'm going to read this first bit, then I'm going to jump to the latter part of the article. Okay, so it says, it comes as the government issued new powers in England to keep people in quarantine to stop the virus spreading. Alright, so that's a key thing. The government has issued new powers. Okay, so they put legislation in place to basically quarantine the people. Alright, so legally, it's legally binding that if you don't accept being in the quarantine, they have some form of legality in place that they can obviously probably lock you up and do certain things to you, apprehend you in a certain manner. In England, to keep people in quarantine to stop the virus spreading. In order to do this, the Department of Health has described the coronavirus as a serious imminent threat to public health. Alright, so the UK Department of Health basically described it as a serious imminent threat to the public health, whereas, read on, it says the overall risk level in the UK remains moderate. There have been more than 40,000 cases of the virus globally, mostly in China. The total number of deaths in China is now 908. Alright, so this is the key information that's out in terms of statistics. Now I want to go to the latter part of the article because it's really, this plague is really broke out obvious in China. Okay, but with information that's been released earlier, I've gone into various videos about them saying that they could, the whole process in making a vaccine has been curved from 2 to 3 years down to a few months. Okay, and in case of a second wave coming through, they should have a vaccine ready for the people, so it won't break out kind of crazy, so they can, deal with it. Alright, so that's the point. So now, progressing on to the latter part of the article. So it says, alright, why have they issued this advice? Tackling the coronavirus threat has taken the government into uncharted territory. Quarantining hundreds of British citizens for 2 weeks has never been done on this scale in modern times. Alright, so now we're entering that time, as it tells you in the prophecy in Matthew 24. Okay, cool. There you go. This is Matthew 24:4. And Yahweh Shai answered and said unto them, Take heed that no man deceive you, for many shall come in my name, saying, I am Yahweh Shai, and shall deceive many. And ye shall hear of wars and rumours of wars. See ye be not troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be famines and pestilences and earthquakes in diverse places. All these are the beginning of sorrows. So these pestilences are happening in diverse places. The key place really where it's kicking off is in China, all right, Wuhan, the province, over there in the Orient, so to speak. So now, this we're entering a time never seen before, all right? Vital sources say the latest Department of Health announcement on the virus threat covers the tightening of some regulations to help enforce quarantine powers, okay? This gives legal underpinning to the quarantine of people back from Wuhan in Milton Keynes and the Wirral. They all signed contracts committed to the 14-day isolation, but it's understood that more rigorous regulations are needed to ensure people stay the course. Okay? So, with this plague breaking out in China, mainly, it's allowed the government to basically implement legislation in place where it's legally binding for people to stay. Obviously, it was first done by a contract. They obviously said, yeah, we don't mind staying there for 14 days. Okay. But now it says but it's understood that more rigorous regulations are needed to ensure people stay the course. So they're basically saying that they want to implement more laws to keep people, keep them there, where it's no longer a thing of you have to sign a contract. It's just a thing that's the process. And really this all fell out. This all came about because someone wanted to abscond. Someone wanted to leave the quarantine and wasn't allowed to. So they put legal new regulations in place to basically keep them stuck in that quarantine area. All right. And, me being me, I'm gonna question that shit. Like, who's this person that wanted to abscond? They ain't put no face to the person, so you never know. They could have them all in separate places, like, as in kind of a cell, kind of, different rooms and whatnot, and they just make up, oh yeah, someone wanted to leave, so we got to put new legal things in place. This is not a ramping up in official warnings to the wider public. The language used in the official release describing an imminent threat was over dramatic and confusing, and probably there only to obscure legal reasons. So they're saying the fact that they're saying it's an imminent threat is actually a lie. It's not that. That's why it hasn't changed. The actual threat level hasn't changed from moderate to imminent threat. It still remains at moderate. All right. So that shows you that they're doing that for what? For legal reasons. And at that, obscure legal reasons that they haven't actually outlined, okay? The actual threat level announced by the Public Health England a couple of weeks ago remains moderate, see? So now that's a lie that they put out there. But the plague is broken out in Wuhan, okay? But you can see how they're using it to manipulate the people over here, to use it to their advantage, all right? And that leads to the RFID chip, which is a mark of the beast. Okay, they said they got the vaccine in the next 3 or so months, which is convenient. All right. So if it does break out here, if it does have a snowball effect, what's gonna happen? If it has a snowball effect, they're gonna say we got the vaccine, and you got to come to these different regions posted in your different areas, and you basically have to sign over your rights to go through the incubation period of 14 days, get the vaccine, see how it deals with you, and then you can go back into society with an RFID chip, and they keep monitoring your biometric levels. Okay. Anyway, so yeah. What's happening globally? The majority of cases are in China, where 40,171 people are infected. All right. So they're saying the majority of people are infected in China, and they gave you the number 40,171. Let's go back up to initial article we read, the beginning of the article. It says there have been more than 40,000 cases of the virus globally, mostly in China. All right, the total number of deaths in China is now 908. So now they're saying that most of the cases are in globally, but mostly in China. But it said more than 40,000, but when you check it out, it's 40,171. So what if that there's a big obscurity in the numbers around the world, all right? Just the fact that these numbers can be hyperinflated because it's China, all right? First off, China has bloody the biggest population on earth. Even in that province, there's 11 million people, for one. Okay? And the mortality rate is around 1%, which they say in the article I'm going to read anyway. So, again, it's flu season. There's a lot of things that go into this where someone can exhibit the symptoms are basically the same as the flu, and we're in flu season, all right? But this is the perfect storm, because basically the corona, you know how the elites go. I'm not going to give too much credit to the elites, because this could be it from the way it looks like they're utilizing this advantageously, all right, to basically put certain things in place by fear-mongering. Because there's a lot, in a sense, that's like questionable about this shit, man. But the reaction to it isn't really questionable. It's solid, because they're putting legal regulations in place. They're making leaps and bounds in terms of forwarding the New World Order agenda, all right, which is the most important thing. So reading on, going back to this, it says, so the new virus was first reported in Wuhan, the capital of Hubei province. The city of 11 million has been locked down for weeks. Okay, the outbreak was declared a global emergency by the WHO on 30th January. It is estimated that 1% of people infected with the new coronavirus may die. So that's bloody 1%. And they ain't outlining what age group, what's their medical history of those people dying. Right, they're just saying 1%. Everything's very vague, and there's not too much details, but it's enough that it's got people in the London Underground on the tube with face masks. All right, so it's having the effect. It's doing what it needs to do, whether or not it's actually killing people or not. All right, they're saying 1% of people infected can die. That don't mean shit. The way people are reacting is like 100% of people can die. All right, and that's really what the effect they want to play on the people, on the minds of the people. According to a report by the World Health Organization collaborating with Centre of Infectious Disease Modelling, Professor Neil Ferguson of Imperial College London said the estimates suggest the impact of the epidemic may be comparable to the major influenza pandemics of the 20th century. Meanwhile, there are now 130 cases of the coronavirus in quarantine Diamond Princess cruise ship in the port of Yokohama, right? Because why? Of course, it's gonna catch like wildfire on a cruise ship, right? Everyone's quarantined together. What should I do if I suspect I have corona? Now, the other points I want to build upon. Yeah, I'll jump back up to the top. So it says, is the Brighton Man a super spreader? It looks like a lot of super spreading. This looks a lot like a super spreading event. It is likely another British national diagnosed in Mallorca is also connected to the Brighton Man. It is not unusual in outbreaks. We know that people pass this novel coronavirus onto an average of 2 to 3 people, but some will pass it on to nobody and others will pass it on to far more. In MERS coronavirus, a super spreading event led to 82 people being infected. History has demonized the super spreader. Irish cook Mary Mallon is remembered as a typhoid Mary, after unknowingly passing on the disease when she had no symptoms. She spent decades in exile and forced into quarantine. So now that whole ideal as well, you could put yourself in for testing, and they can just say, yeah, let's just say this one's great, all right, as a super spreading. Bang, you're in quarantine, man. All right, you're exiled from society. You're forced into quarantine. All right, reading on. But in reality, it's not the patient's fault. Having no symptoms, making unusually large amounts of virus, or mixing with lots of people can all lead to super spreading. So this is like the perfect storm, man. All right, this is the perfect storm because it can really infringe on the rights of the people. So now, last point I want to bring out. The new cases are linked to a British man who caught the virus at a conference in Singapore and travelled to a ski resort in France. He was diagnosed in Brighton and has been treated in St Thomas' Hospital of London. So now there's a myriad of places he's been to: Singapore, France, Brighton and London. So it's 3 different countries and 2 cities within one of those 3 countries. Alright? So there's how many people has he come into contact? Mind you, he's been on an aeroplane as well. And how the fuck did he get in Singapore when it's really broke out in Wuhan? All right. So even there's a trail, a trail prior to him receiving it in Singapore. All right. So, and that's why they go on to say more people being infected by his movements and whatnot. But this is just the perfect storm, man. All right. This is going to create great fear and allow them to put regulations in place to restrict travel, all right, to basically quarantine people that exhibit any form of symptoms, and basically make leaps and bounds towards putting the RFID chip in place through vaccinations upon the people, all right. So now I'm going to read the scripture and be out. So it's 2 Esdras 15, and I'm going to read from 1 to 5. Behold, speak down in the ears of my people the words of prophecy. All right? And that's what we're doing. We're speaking prophecies. That's why I quoted the main prophecy that's coming to pass is what I read, being Matthew 24. All right? Where it speaks about pestilence is coming and it's the beginning of sorrows. All right? This coronavirus is part of the beginning of sorrows, being a pestilence outbreak among the people. Alright, which I will put in thy mouth, saith the Lord, and cause them to be written in paper, for they are faithful and true. Fear not the imaginations against thee, let not the incredulity of them trouble thee that speak against thee. Alright, for all the unfaithful shall die in their unfaithfulness. So when we prophesy these words, we can't be the Lord didn't give us a spirit of fear, but a spirit of power, power, love, and a sound mind. Basically, that's what the Lord blessed us with. Behold, saith the Lord, I will bring plagues upon the world, the sword, famine, death, and destruction. And what's coronavirus doing? It's bringing death and destruction, and only will bring about the sword and famine. All right, so it all falls in place. For wickedness have exceedingly polluted the whole earth, and the hurtful works are fulfilled. So all this is part of the Most High's plan. All right, even though the elites, they look like they're doing it, they're the left-hand side of the Heavenly Father. So with that, I pray you edify.